Peace and love, strength and honor, Samir Seif representing Ontario Top Team on day 28 from post-surgery of my hip replacement revision, direct anterior on my right side. And today I'm going to be introducing a new set of strengthening mobility movements. So most of my approach so far has been PALS or progressive articular isometric loading to be safe. I found that was the best approach. This is my third hip surgery, and now I will be doing rails or the regressive side, so regressive articular isometric loading. So this is what I normally can do. So one, I can bend forward and lift it, okay? I can lift my hip, I can go into flexion, and I can raise it fairly strongly without a lot of irradiation. So one of the exercises I do to strengthen that movement is I place a block inside the hip, and what I try to do is squeeze the block to strengthen that flexion relationship, and then try to keep squeezing it without losing the block. So this is my freshly operated hip. So I'm trying to do the same thing, and as you can see, it can't even come off the ground. So I'll start working on that, and I will hold this for 2 minutes, trying to squeeze that block. So I've got my little styrofoam balls to help me irradiate a little bit more. This is my good hip here. It also has been replaced, but I'm fairly strong, and I have a pretty good pull. So that's what my good hip can do. This is the fresh hip, and I'm going to try to lift today. So this will be a good one to watch the progression. And I am going to use a pretty good amount of irradiation. If you notice, if you go back in the videos, I was very cautious about irradiating too high. That's where I got hurt, and that's where I had setbacks. So I'm going to go to probably 50% of my overall irradiation. So that means I'll breathe in, pack that air down, and irradiate and contract through my body, through most of my upper body, but I won't let it get past kind of this area. So I won't be irradiated past my knees and past my elbows, in the sense that most of my concentration will be still up here in the core. And I'll try to hold that for as long as I can without increasing that irradiation. So for the sake of the video, I'll cut it short, but I would hold that for 2 minutes. And then I would try again. So I'm probably going to hit 4 sets of 2 minutes. Well, not today, but today I'll try 2 sets of 2 minutes, and then just see how I feel tomorrow, or tonight, how I recover. So again, be cautious about using rails, because generally I find we pull ourselves a bit deeper than we can when you're doing PALS. So especially with the surgery, you want to be just a little bit more tentative to kind of find what the range is, or what the capacity is that can be handled. The other one that I've done, which I've introduced, is pulling my heel towards my belly as I do external rotation. I like doing it in the chair because I can lean back, which is going to allow me to cheat a little bit, but just to support myself. So with irradiation, I go external rotation, and that's my good hip, okay? And you're going to see with the posterior approach operation, so I've had 2 operations on my right which were anterior. I had a posterior approach on my left, and I still am fighting almost a year and a half later, or 2 years, to get proper external movement, and I believe that's due to the surgery. This is actually a huge improvement since that surgery. And then with control, I'll put it back. So here's the big test of me trying to do that on my surgery side. Pulling that heel to my belly. And for this exercise, you know my formula, if you've been following the videos, is 4 sets, 10 reps. And then when I start moving in the reps and it gets easier by 8, 9, 10, then I increase it. I go from non-weight bearing to bearing. I switch to bands, or I switch to weight. As you can see, I have ankle weights. So I would do that 10 times. The other one that I do is the internal rotation. So internal rotation from sitting with some flexion. And I try not to raise my butt. So I'm using the chair as a reference. And I'm internally rotating, keeping my spine fairly straight. And again, I would hold that until I cramp. I would just hold it for as long as I could. So we'll see what I can do on my right side. That is very difficult. So difficult, in fact, that what I would do is go to what I talk about, which is pulses. I pulse my way there. So it's like I kind of flex my way and start to jolt it with that signal. And I found that approach with any exercises that were very difficult has worked amazingly. So I'm just going to kind of contract into position. There. And then I find when I go back to trying to do a hold, now I can. So that's been one of my kind of findings. So that's for internal rotation. And again, I would try to hold it for as long as possible, 2 minutes. And then this one here, sitting again, I just bring my legs out. And I'll do this on the floor as well. Just pinching my knees together. So of course I can't reach that. So I try to look at where my maximum is. And then I come in just on the outside. So there I can get a good squeeze as I sit up. So now this one I am pulling myself forward, okay? So this one's pretty intense. And pull myself in, and then I press myself up. Pull myself in. Using this stuff here. I'm just trying to levitate my feet up into the air. And this is where you can get in trouble, is you pull yourself in too deep and you hurt yourself. So again, I'm just staying pretty even keeled, not doing more than 50% irradiation. And then pushing myself back up. So again, the formula, using 4 sets, 10 movements or 10 reps, hold it for 2 minutes, and then I lock everything in with some passive holding. So that's how I've used the chair so far. The block one is simple. I just push it, lift, and bring it back. And that's pretty tough, but I'll start working with that. I'll just show you how like my normal hip is. So I'm actually can be fairly forward. Got good flexion, good strength, good movement. I can hover. So that's how my normal hip is. So you can see the difference. So I can really feel that is some good work going on there. All right, so let's see. Flexion, external rotation, internal rotation. Oh, that feels okay. The extension, I'll try to lift with internal rotation. And come back out with external. Let's see how my straight leg is. Oh, that's tough. Circles. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's a bit too much right there. I don't think I'm ready for that yet. So that's with some ankle weights. In this one, I'm trying to crush this block. Good luck. So before I was pushing against my knee, now I'm actually trying to pull with all this stuff. And it might be a little bit early, so I won't go too hard. But that's better. So I'm trying to push down on that block, and I'll push down on that block for 2 minutes. And then I'll do passive stretching after. So just introducing some rails. So the regressive side. So I was highly concentrated on where I felt the stretch. I don't feel a stretch on the outside, I feel a stretch on the inside. But now I'm going to use all this stuff to pull my leg down. And anytime I get a type of release, I don't go further, I stay there. And then I can start another 2-minute push or take a rest. So as soon as something abruptly stops you from moving, or the only thing that's signaling is the pain, I wouldn't do the movement anymore. So I am able to kind of lengthen and stay forward now, where before I was kind of like this holding on. So that is a marked improvement in close to 30 days. Eventually I would like to get my knees flat on the mat and be able to hit lotus again. So that would be one of my goals. So the butterfly is feeling much stronger, and using the rails, so pulling my knees down and holding that for 2 minutes. So it has taken me basically 4 weeks before I would even entertain the idea of pulling myself into a stretch, and I've gotten pretty good results. Strength is increasing, still a lot of inflammation. And now let's look at that 90-90. So in the 90-90, I'm going to need to use a block to hold myself up. So the goal for me is to get this elbow on this side of the heel. And I'm just going to see if I can get some end range movement here. So I'm going to try and use that ball. I made it. Whew. So I'm like pulling with all of this stuff, and I can feel it. So what I do is I back up. That's how I figure out where the position is, and I try to lift, and of course I can't lift it. So I just keep moving forward until I can lift. And then I just stay to that outside perimeter. Oh, I'm pretty happy about that. This is hard on a day without hip surgery. And then the other one I want to do, let's maybe do it from the other side there. Let's see. Lift it. Oh, that's crazy hard. Yeah, I think I'm ready for that. All right, well, that's some good work. And then just gonna and move it and press. Oh, I'm feeling that. So I'm just using stuff that I haven't used. It is working, so I'm going to start working on signaling. Again, I'm going to take it easy today to make sure that I don't do what I did a few days ago, where I like blasted myself so bad I couldn't move. I don't want any more setbacks, so I've only had one setback day where I had to really take a rest. So again, just trying to include the other side of the tissue. So wherever you don't feel the stretch, you want to use that side now to kind of start to pull yourself into some of the positions. Some things I've noted too is whenever I cannot do something, so say I'm trying to lift it and I can't lift it, those pulses make a big difference. Where I just like jolt it. I just go like, and then as soon as I can get that going, I catch it, right? So I want to control the descent. So I fire it, and then I try to actually catch it. So it might look like it's the same, but I'm actually trying to arrest it. So learning to signal up, and then learning to signal on the way down. And now we'll see if I have better control. Which I do. So that really works. Jolting it, sending those signals. So pretty happy. So let's just see in general. So that's my 90-90 with an unoperated hip. I think that's not bad. Not too bad. And then let's see how I can move. If I can switch. Oh, that's tough. Yeah, not too bad. You see, I have more control from that hip. That hurts. Whew. But yeah, I think my 90-90 is starting to come along. Feels good. So I usually can do this without holding myself with my hands. So that's what I'd like to be able to return to. And then full kin stretch movements and end range stuff. That's pretty good. I wonder if I can pick it up. Nope. No, I can't pick it up, but I would start to practice that. So all I've been doing is practicing lengthening, right? Lengthening my spine, pressing my shin down hard, right? Pushing my shin into the ground, pushing my shin into the ground. You know, and I feel the stretch all on that side. I'm contracting it. And then I don't feel anything here. So what I would do is I would use this stuff and either pull myself down or I try to lift it. Either way, it's using this side. And you don't want to do that stuff too early in your hip recovery. So even though I probably can go further, I won't do it because I just have to make sure I don't beat myself up and get inflamed again. So I'm good here. So I'll probably do some passive work here. So you can see the difference now if you've been following the videos, the difference between pressing yourself into a position and pulling yourself, and then eventually doing both in some form of a kinetic stretch. Now what about, that's it. That's it. Okay, so I'll be back at it. Just figured I'd share what I've come to so far. And as you can see, things are opening up. So last thoughts, take your time in using the regressive tissue. Take your time pulling yourself into the stretch, and take as much time as needed to stay in the discomfort zone of lengthening and pressing yourself into your holds, your stretches, your lifts. And if you have any trouble getting a certain movement, trying to use that pulse, sending that signal. And then once you can send the signal, to also use the catching method, where you catch it so that you're also practicing to control it from the other action. So if I'm trying to lift something and it wouldn't lift, I would jolt it up. But then I just don't let it clang down. I jolt it up. And then although it looks the same, I actually mentally try to arrest it. I catch it. So gaining control in both directions. Peace and love. Strength and honor. Samir Saif, representing Ontario Top Team. Pow!